There's a lot of things in metal that are deemed silly or like melodramatic. But there's a certain honesty in that, you know? There's a certain honesty in the fucking picked on loner fucking screaming his head off and playing powerful guitar, you know what I mean? So, I'm not saying that everybody is a picked on loner that makes metal, but some of the things that appeal to me about it. So.
Most black metal artists, when they say the word kill, they'd be like, kill!
Yeah.
But then you could take it to like something like you do.
I like to like.
Can you do it loud? No? Oh, it's fine.
Maybe.
If you don't want to, that's fine. It'd be cool if you did, though. Yeah.
Something like that.
Something like that.
Yeah.
Black metal has always been outsider art in its most brutal form. Back in the 80s, European bands like Venom, Bathory, and Celtic Frost were the first to release these kinds of violent, lo-fi records filled with blast beats, satanic imagery, and shrieking vocals. As black metal birthed a second wave out of Norway and a third wave from the US, the most compelling figures to emerge out of the genre's evolution are the true loners. Artists who play all their own instruments and don't just scream about isolation and misanthropy, but live it. These one-man black metal bands convey a rage and emotional noise that make the people who conceive them even more fascinating. This is who we set out to find. Three living one-man black metal artists who have never before given the public a peek into their solitude. Nobody we met personified their lyrics about isolation and despair like Scott Connor, the man behind Xasthur. We tracked him down outside of Los Angeles, amid the palm trees of Alhambra, California, an unlikely place as any for a guy who makes such dark, depressive music. Xasthur's sound is unmistakable. Walls of guitar noise and mournful keyboards, topped off with strangled screams. Scott is extremely protective of his identity. Until now, he's never shown his face on camera. But he agreed to let us shoot at his house, where he writes and records all of his music.
This is the drum set I bought a few years ago. It's not a drum machine, like contrary to popular belief. It's not 3 loops or anything like that.
Scott has put out almost 24 releases since 1999. And his style has earned Xasthur attention outside of the usual circle of black metal fans. This looks like the newer one, the Revenge.
I had to have it. I spent the last of my money about 6 months ago buying it. I told myself I would stop putting money into music, but I kind of had to have it.
Why did you decide to stop putting money into music?
Music doesn't really give you enough in return to keep putting the little you got into it all the time and time again. The music, it's really like a love-hate thing that I have for it, you know. In the literal sense of doing it, writing it and recording it. That's when it doesn't matter who listens to it and who doesn't. It doesn't matter how much money I have or how much I do or don't have. Those things don't matter to me at all when I'm literally doing it. There's a lot of bands that are just people pleasers, and I'd rather take the risk of trying new things. Whether it's a different kind of sound from a different place that most metal people aren't always familiar with, or whether it's trying, you know, I'll play any instrument I can get my hands on. I don't even care if I can play it or not. I'll figure out how to play it. That's what I am concerned most with, you know. I keep a notebook and a pen by my bed while I'm falling asleep, and I wake up, I write something that's coming to me between the times when you're in and out of sleep, and that's when things come to me the most. What I do is a mirror of my mind, but what's worse is that it's a mirror of other people's minds. And that's...
The despair, you mean? Like the...
Yeah, just more than that, just kind of, you know, hate, fear, death. The other thing that's like not really very understood is that I don't recall ever making claims I can't back up in my lyrics, like, I'm gonna kill myself. I don't do that. But instead what I do is I just say, hey, you know, here's a few reasons for you listening to this. You might want to look into dying and killing yourself. You might want to look into that.
The artist that you are, because of like all the long hours that you put in of like recording, practicing, creating all the time, you pretty much stay here and that's what you do.
Yeah.
And this was the way that you dealt with life, is to just stay in, stay alone, record, create?
Yeah, for a long time, you know. I had nothing else. That's all I had. I mean, it's all I could count on. It's the only way that I was able to count on myself, too, you know, so.
And did you have like any jobs growing up? Did you work?
Yeah, I've had a few, you know, on and off. I mean, I don't hold down jobs very well.
Do you not like working because it takes away from time about just recording?
That's the only part of being unemployed I want to talk about, you know, because
Okay.
it's just like...
Scott's aversion to revealing anything too personal makes it impossible to figure out how or why he's carved this life out for himself. But it speaks volumes about his need to do everything on his own and create such brutal, compelling music. When did you first discover, like, you wanted to play music, you wanted to create?
I just started doing it, like, probably after high school, you know.
Were you working with other people, or did you always just work by yourself?
I used to work with other people, but back then, like, nobody wanted to play black metal, and if you explained it to them, they just, you know, nobody wanted to play any kind of music like that. And so the people I would find were people that were not really into it, and I would tell them, do it anyway. I even tried to bribe people and, you know, play drums for a couple hours and I'll pay you some money or something. Like, it just didn't work. There was nothing I could do, you know, so.
You never perform live, is that, why? Why don't you perform live?
I know what I put into it, and I know that that can't exactly be recreated live. The only way it would work is I'd have to find session people, and I don't really like doing that. I mean, it's just part of one of the things about metal, especially these days. Black metal is just like a lot of bands and musicians, they just recycle the hell out of each other, and I'm not into that. It's not the kind of band that you go to see. It's not like some rowdy, beer-drinking kind of music. That's pretty much why. And I mean, I have another problem too, is like, I do a lot of songs, so I don't really remember how to play half the shit I write.
What appeals to you about coming here?
It's close to absolute quiet, and it's as dark as outdoors can get. It's depressing in a way, you know, like at night. It's just, I don't know, it's like, I don't know what makes it more depressing, the people or the emptiness of it. I'm not quite sure of that, really, you know. But I come here sometimes, you know.
So, I mean, do you just not like people? So
I just never understood people. I don't think they really ever understood me, and I don't have anything in common with very few people, at least. I don't really see any worth in a lot of people. I find human beings most of the time to be really arrogant, with nothing to be arrogant about. In the back of my mind, I'm always trying to think of ways to knock them off their high horse if I could, you know. But at the same time, when I meet somebody who I think is going to be a piece of shit like everybody else, and they turn out to be a really interesting, amazing person who might even think the same way that I do, I'm really glad about that.
you used to have like long hair, wear the corpse paint and black robes, but you don't do that anymore.
What I do is what it's all about, not what I look like. It just kind of started seeming kind of juvenile to me. There's nothing that I can't stand more is like somebody who's like, you know, in their 50s or something, and they're still wearing corpse paint. Or their black metal shirts just have teen angst written all over them, you know what I mean? It's just like, it's just time to really cut the crap. You know, the way my life really is and the way I really feel is like, I don't want to portray myself as anything. You know, I don't need positive or negative kind of attention, and if I have like long hair and have to go to the grocery store, I don't feel like talking about Dark Throne with a fellow long-haired person. I want to, you know, like, I don't talk to people. When I say I want to be left alone, I mean it, you know.
There was a time when I was listening to Telepathic with the Deceased extensively, repetitively. It was during the winter time, it was in Chicago, just bleak, gray, overcast. I wasn't feeling so great, but I would listen to this record every single day, and it made a lot of sense to me. Do you think that's the appeal of that record? Is that who it's made for?
I've made a lot of albums during a lot of terrible, awful times, and that one probably was made at a very hard, yeah. I just like, yeah, I just had like I don't like really have real flashbacks because like I've only done acid once by accident. So, but I was having a different kind of flashback, and I was just like, like I was remembering really bad shit, you know. That album was just more, that was a really strange one to me. Like I was like really losing my mind at the time, basically. I couldn't tell the difference between day and night, and I couldn't tell the difference between 1 week or from the next or 1 month. You know, I was like I looked around me, is this life or is it not, you know? Luckily, I was able to take that and make something out of it, you know? I'm realizing more and more that I like a lot of other things, and, you know, like, you know, if I hear music like Lycia or Kansas.
Look who's here.
Oh gosh.
Rare appearance.
Like hearing music like that inspires me to play black metal. Not black metal doesn't inspire me to play black metal anymore, you know? I would really like to do something completely different and kind of stick to it for a while too. I wouldn't try to make happy music dark. That would just be not me. And but you know, I think of it like, well, what if I put my touches to this completely different kind of music that I like? Like, I think to myself, how fucked up would that be, you know? Like, fucked up, you know, in the way I like, you know? I want to get it. People identify what I've done with black metal, and I'd like to take what I do and turn it into something that doesn't have a name. When it comes to writing a lot of lyrics, mentally, you know, emotionally, like I have to go somewhere like, you know, that's really what it is. Like I have to go somewhere where I really don't want to go. But there's something, there's something there.
Is it something like that happened in your past that you're trying to, you know, revisit in your own way and figure it out?
It's the future. It's the future and it's the past, both, you know. It is, you know. Sometimes I'll step into my own future and past, and I'll step through the eyes of someone else's future and past a lot of time.
Are you ever afraid that you're not going to get out of that space?
On one hand, I wonder if I ever really did make it out. Maybe this is one of the people I've turned into, and this person now is nobody.